Hello and welcome to another edition of Book Review from CCXP Exam Simulator. This is Michael Bartlett, and the book I'm reviewing today is called Almost Alchemy. Make any business of any size produce more with fewer and less, by Dan S. Kennedy. Now, before I get started, I have to tell you, I bought this book yesterday. I'm recording this right now on Thanksgiving, and I purchased the book yesterday. It's only 160 pages, so I actually was able to read it in about 2 or 3 hours maybe, and went through, made all of my notes, put them into the review today, which I'm going to share with you. But it's a pretty good book in terms of optimizing the financial side of the business. So that's why I wanted to just get on and do a review real quick while it was fresh in my memory. So my book notes are as follows. So firstly, Dan says that there are made-from-scratch millionaires and multi-millionaire entrepreneurs who have developed a different understanding of and relationship with money. They see it in a humanized way with a rational mind. It doesn't want to hang out in a restaurant's dirty kitchen or smelly bathrooms. It will go elsewhere. And this is a very interesting way of looking at things. If you have a physical business and you imagine money as an actual person who's going to be interacting with that business, you can kind of humanize it, kind of empathize and think, well, how would that money be? Would the money want to stay there, or would it want to go somewhere else? And that's a big essence to what this book is about. He talks about prediction as well. He says you have to learn how to predict where money will go. The example he gives is Disney purchased Marvel to stem the losses of its customers when they reach teen age. So that way, he talks about Guthy Renker as well, and he said there was a lot of money that was in the system that was just doing nothing. The money wanted to go places, it wanted to move around, but between midnight and 6 a.m., it had nowhere to go. So they created a multi-billion-dollar business with infomercials. Another thing he stresses is there should never be an end to any road you place your customer on. This kind of goes back to that example with Disney. The customers were children, obviously the parents of the children, enjoying childlike things, and then when they become teenagers, suddenly the customers disappear. So they purchase Marvel to make sure that they can keep that money coming back. He says there's never one cockroach. This is referring to employee culture and employees. If you see one, there could be many hidden. If you refuse to define them, police against them and coach them, you will end up with quiet anarchy on your hands. Many years ago, I used to work for Accenture, and I remember I was working in a project in Leeds in the United Kingdom, and we would travel up every Monday, travel back to London every Friday, and there were very, very expensive train tickets, and a lot of people would travel business class, first class. I thought it was kind of a waste of money, so I always just travelled regular class. But there was a lot of people travelling in the very expensive cabins, and Accenture were happy to pay for that as well. But what happened was they actually found that a few people were committing fraud and making out they were buying these tickets when they weren't. And so what basically Dan's saying is if a few people are doing it, there might actually be a lot more just under the surface that you're not realizing. My mother-in-law used to own a gas station here in Missouri, and people would steal from her all the time. They had to put cameras in. So it's kind of a cynical way to look at people, but basically Dan says there's a very small percentage of people who are honest to a T. There are also another very small percentage of people who are dishonest to a T, will steal any opportunity they get. He said, and then there is the rest of us. So the problem with the rest of us is, even though they're predominantly good people, he said the right circumstances can come along, or maybe I should say the wrong circumstances could come along, and that could end up causing a lot of problems, and then you get bad behavior. So it's just something that he advises businesses to watch out for, because if you see that one cockroach, you really need to put a systematic effort in to detect them, because otherwise you will end up with a bad company culture, stealing, and of course that's all money being taken away from the business that it could use to grow. He says replace subjectivity with objectivity. Split test everything. So when people think of split testing, they think about split testing web pages, web copy, that kind of thing, adverts. He's saying split test everything so that your policy and your decisions are made on what works best. And this applies to price architecture too. So in the book, he gives a really good example of somebody who did a number of split tests with pricing for a product, and they ended up choosing, I think it was $29.95 as the price they settled at. But what Dan actually found when he got involved and meddled was that if they had actually split tested 2 payments, the optimal number that came back was $24. So actually, by doing a split test, he found that 2 payments of $24 actually trumped the 1 payment of $29. So that's why you should always split test. At the end of the day, he describes this in his book. He says alchemy is based on facts, not opinions, facts. And he says if it can't be put on the bank deposit slip, then it is not a business result. He talks about retention by ascension. So he says consumers are preconditioned to move up ladders. If you think about everything from all the way back from kindergarten, just the way the system's set up, the school system and so forth, people are preconditioned to want to move up, do better and better and better. And this kind of applies mainly to subscription models. But he said if you've got a number of customers, if you actually split your offerings up into these different levels, there will be certain percentages that will naturally want to move up and pay that little bit extra. In terms of optimizing the financial side of the business with respect to sales, he says work backwards. So figure out what your cost per appointment is, your CPA. Figure out what your cost per lead is, CPL. And then figure out the percentage conversion for those two as well. In the book, and this is a quote from the book, he says, all I had to do to double a company's net profits that I was working with was move the needle from 100 to 150 appointments per 2,000 leads. There was no increase in marketing and no increase in front-end ad spend. He didn't say exactly how he did it. I think it was something to do with the operational side, but the point he's making is that sometimes to make big changes, you just need to be very strategic and find the right leverage points and where to make those changes. And if you have to have full command of the numbers in your business, and these kind of numbers are the things that will allow you to be able to make the most informed and insightful decisions. He says people are not scalable, very important. You could have a small company with very small sized sales force. When you scale up the company, it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get people of that quality, even with the best training in the world. So that's why he's a big fan of artificial intelligence and some of the newer technologies, because those do allow the exciting possibilities to scale up as well. But he says that's something to always bear in mind when you're trying to do projections into the future. People are not scalable. He says to win, you need to spend more per lead and more per appointment to screen out the lowest quality prospects. By this, what he means is the highest quality prospects are the ones who are the most likely to buy. So if you're able to screen out the people that aren't as likely, you'll get higher quality leads. And what that means is that you should ultimately increase the average close rate. You need to better prepare your prospects in advance. Put a lot of effort into the trust building, into the expectation building. And then once they've come through the system, if they haven't bought, you need a relentless follow-up system. Now, he doesn't actually give an example of a relentless follow-up system in his book. But the good news is there's another book that's out there called Sell Like Crazy. It's written by the CEO of King Kong, a very successful Australian digital marketing agency. And Sell Like Crazy has this exact system. I think he calls it the magic lantern technique. But it's in that book. If you go ahead and get it, it's pretty cheap to get on Kindle. And that will walk you through the equivalent of what a relentless follow-up system is. And then he talks about place strategy. So place strategy is where to be and where not to be, obviously very deliberately done. At the end he says, if you place yourself where you are not supposed to be, you might be surprised at what happens. I'm going to read you a quote from the book now. He says, think about what it means when a patient decides to travel from Minneapolis to Houston to see the nationally advertised Dr. Wizard instead of the doctors doing comparable work at the big name hospital or at a private practice at his home city of Minneapolis, voluntarily replacing 50 minutes travel time with 5 hours. Mobile money has chosen to move from where it is kept to where it will be spent, entirely due to the distant doctor having a bigger idea than the local ones and to effective direct response advertising and authority marking in nationwide media instead of confining himself to local media and the local market. This is called a different place strategy. This guarantees price fee elasticity. The doctor automatically gets to charge much higher fees per hour, per procedure, per patient relationship, and to sell packaged multi-month programs. This idea of play strategy is very interesting. He even gives an example in the book of where someone shows up to an event where you wouldn't expect to have jewelers, but the guy's there and he's the only jeweler that's there. And I think it's a lot of men bidding on livestock, and of course they want to take some nice jewelry home to their wives in case they get in trouble for maybe buying another horse, something like that. So it was a really interesting way of looking at things, showing up in places that people don't expect you. Also, it's useful because if you do that, then you're not competing with a whole bunch of other people shouting to get the most attention when in a whole sea of noise. You're on your own, and then you can make your case on your own terms. So that was pretty much my summary of the book. Like I said, it's very easy to read. It's 160 pages, so it won't take you very long. And I fully recommend it. I think if you're somebody that runs a business and you want to optimize those financials, it would be perfect for you. So that's it from me today. If you want to see any particular books reviewed, just contact me at support@ccxpexamsimulator.com, and I will hopefully have some more interesting book reviews for you in the near future. Happy Thanksgiving, and see you guys later.